it's kind of marinating a little bit before I open the gates of hell.
Yeah.
I think some actors people discount because they associate them with 1 or 2 or 3 movies, and they're just like, oh, I'm not into that. But like, no, I think Edward Norton is per capita the best. When I say per capita, like per film, is the best actor of not just this generation, but the last 2 generations. But the reason I don't say Edward Norton without that disclaimer is the best actor is because Edward Norton has a very small number of films and has not been in a film long enough. He could have been, in my eyes, Leonardo DiCaprio for best actor of our generation. Leonardo DiCaprio surpassed, in my own mind, Edward Norton simply because the amount of movies and quality of movies that he was in. Edward Norton, absolutely amazing, man. Even his portrayal in The Hulk was great. Like, the guy was in a fucking Marvel movie and it was sick. If you're into Edward Norton-esque movies, he's a brilliant actor. He thinks beyond the script. The problem is that everyone hates working with him. So, yeah, The Illusionist. Oh, amazing. The Hulk, man, what a great portrayal. What is it? What was it? American History X. Kingdom of Heaven. Holy shit. One of the most underrated movies of all time. Kingdom of Heaven, where he portrayed the king, it starts with a B, King, the Leper King. Yeah, it starts with a B. Baldwin. Yes, King Baldwin the Fourth. Honestly, Kingdom of Heaven, I would argue, is one of the best movies of its kind. For me, it's better than Gladiator, if I'm going to be honest. Holy shit, that movie was sick. Wait, is the director's cut better? Yeah, man. Holy shit. I love talking movies. I really do. I'm definitely an aficionado, but I will say, I am not, I think movies are dog shit now, though. They're too generic. They're not art. They're monetization machines. Yeah, this one right over here on the left is not bad. It's another one that I saw. But you know what? We won't stop. We'll, let me know whenever you guys are ready. I want... Actually, I'd like to... All right. I'll... you take the... Do you have any water by any chance?
I got nothing, unfortunately.
Shit. Jason, do you have a drink by any chance?
I do, yeah.
Oh, thank God. I passed out here last night.
In the glovey for you.
Thank you. Yeah, passed out last night. Just, I was on that island for like a good fucking hour trying to make sense of everything. All right, go ahead, Michael. Let's,
Do you want me to recap last night or really just tell you how I feel?
Whichever way you want to do it. I'd like to hear your sense of a recap so that I can a different set of eyes and ears, you know?
I mean, the problem is I was in and out of earshot for a lot of it, so I don't know that I'll be able to recap it as authentically as you can. But effectively, we went through the bulleted lists, or the bulleted list of grievances, let's say, that we had that were raised through Barrett's impeachment, that were raised through, some of the points that you brought forward on our office's behalf, Nino. And the justices took a very, very defensive stance, I would say. It was very protectionist, where they had an answer for seemingly everything that really didn't line up with what we've seen in the city for the last 3 months. And I would say that's a very, very fair assessment. I'm going to let you fill in the details on exactly what the governor brought up. But I think more interestingly was what happened after the governor had left, where conversations were had regarding the penal code and other topics. And effectively, what Weiss, who did the majority of the speaking, put on display was nothing short of, I only heard what I wanted to hear from the governor. And when I didn't hear what I wanted to hear, I'm just going to pretend he said that anyways. The governor laid out a very, very simple framework for how they create legislation in terms of legal precedent, judicial outcomes, so on and so forth, even going so far as to what he defined a judicial proceeding. And at one point, I think Weiss used that as affirmation that their arbitrary changes to the penal code outside of a legislative process were entirely lawful and in their jurisdiction. I think it was at that point that I stood up, said, I'm going to bed, and I went to bed. I think for Jason's context, it would probably be good if you gloss over some of the topics that the governor discussed.
So the impeachment proceedings have not concluded. Everything that happened yesterday, the governor, from my understanding, stated that individuals' availability is not something that is inherently dereliction, right? And it could be numerically, but it doesn't infer that, hey, if you're only around this amount or whatever, that is like how things will be measured. It may be an indicator, but not like the main thing they're going to go off of, because you can be available and derelict, or barely available and not derelict, right? And so in turn, he needs to review some things, documents, etc. And that nobody was going to necessarily get impeached today, right? So, and that, I agree with that, right? I agreed with that. As long as you're doing the work, it doesn't matter. That's a very common thing, like in all industries, government and otherwise. So then we went into some of the grievances, right? And what was interesting to provide perspective, as Michael said, that initial conversation that Weiss had an answer for everything. He's clearly playing the role that Angel did, followed by Arcadia, where he is speaking on behalf of the DOJ and making up bullshit. When Michael says an answer for everything, a very defensive stance, and what does that mean? It's sort of like a child who has been caught like smoking pot in the house, or like the parent thinks that they're smoking pot and they're coming up with all kinds of make-believe things. Or maybe, you miss a college assignment, right? You're late, and now you're making up a whole fucking storyline as to what occurred. But the problem is, everyone knows you're lying because you conveniently have an answer for everything. And it's not, none of those answers are backed by any fact, any, you know, it's just all make believe. It's like you want us to believe every, you know? So, at a certain point, Weiss took most of the conversation to the extent that he was interrupting the governor, to the extent that he didn't want anyone else to talk, and you could tell that was his tactic. He was afraid.
Wow.
When the governor, my intention was to observe originally, and I had Michael quickly whip up all our impeachment stuff together so that it could be numbered, which I appreciate that, Michael. Made it a lot easier. So when the governor said, while we're here, like, you know, what problems are happening, Princess actually passed it along to me. And the governor was like, so Nino, what like issues have you been seeing? I immediately got interrupted. And I think 30 minutes may have gone by before they're like, oh yeah, by the way, let's go back to what Nino's saying or was going to say.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was that sort of energy. I think these people, I want them to die, genuinely. Like, it's such trash behavior. It really is. Because up until that moment, everything that I was taking in, and the reason I was quiet is because any sensible person sees they don't want anyone else to have an opinion. They do not want an open, transparent conversation. They're offended, genuinely offended by any opinion that does not line up to theirs. Let me say that even before I spoke, I will note some of the statements and positions that were taken. Number one, that there is no problem with the conversation of, is there a director yet? This dumb fuck, Weiss, had the audacity to state that the system is working and they're currently working to get a director. This motherfucker literally baked in the majority vote. Or no, not majority. Unanimous vote. He's the one that fought for it. We have his comments on the document. We told him it was insane and stupid. That they're going to get deadlocked. What happened? They got deadlocked. He said he stepped down in December. He made an official announcement over a month ago now. And he had the audacity to say, he even said that it took 3 months because they were waiting for parties, including us. He tried to suggest that we delayed the process. This fucking brain dead piece of shit had that fucking audacity. What a fucking cunt. We were done with that fucking document 3 days in. They fucking sat on their ass for fucking 3 months. Can you imagine that? The fucking audacity. I gotta fill the boat. So already I was just like, this guy, fuck him and his entire lineage. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, hold on 1 second.
I want to give you additional context here, Jason. So,
Okay.
Weiss said that he wanted to step down from the directorship because he wanted to get back to the bench, right? And I know that he told Sean Danielson that...
State announcement, too.
Right. That he felt it wasn't appropriate for him as the director of the marshals to be taking cases as in, you know, the capacity of a judge. Mm-hmm. But then he went on to defend that the marshals should remain under the Department of Justice and said there is no inherent conflict of interest. Do you see how those don't add up?
Yeah. Like, did he not listen to the words coming out of his own mouth?
Exactly. Exactly.
The amount of times he did that, Jason, I genuinely believe that they were like slipping notes between each other. You know what I mean?
You know,
because he's the only one that was speaking, and he kept contradicting himself. But yeah. I want to make sure, you know, ADHD in the morning. I want to make sure we don't do what Weiss did and go off into Narnia. You know what I mean? So before I'd even spoken, that whole thing sort of came up, and he said he was making it was insane. I genuinely think that this guy needs to be executed. So he goes so first he's claiming that we're at fault. He tried to push it on us. I fucking was like, hell no, we're done in 3 days. We have literal timestamps and comments, like that's why it's so brazen, that he literally argued with us on the document stating that they needed unanimity. They needed a unanimous vote. Fuck it. That he himself has been like, oh man, why is it unanimous? Bitch, you want it. I think he actually, I think he's got some Joe Biden shit. I'm straight up. Like it's the only, like genuinely, heart to God, the only explanation. Like he's forgetting not just conversations since November, but he's forgetting his own stances throughout yesterday. So
is it?
He then says, the governor said, the governor started leaning towards he doesn't believe the marshals and the DOJ should be one. And he's like, what do you mean? It's working. Keep in mind, this guy has been around for like 11 hours and 3 months, clocked in. So how does he make that determination to begin with, right? Barrett states, I don't even see you guys. I don't even know some of you. It's the first time I've met some of you. You know, let's let that sink in, right? And he goes on to say statements like, so the governor's like, you know, we might need a different way to pick it. Like maybe the mayors like nominate and then, you know, the people vote or something. Because he had asked me about it and I said, I got to think on that. And that's a part of what I want us to do today is think of a better system. And I'll send that idea over to the governor for discussion. I do not like the idea, but he actually presented a pretty good one, is that the voting can take place in a fashion where those that have felonies are not able to vote on that decision. So the governor was being very constructive by providing ideas and examples and frameworks as to how these things can occur. But unfortunately, because the judiciary would not pass for anything more than a fucking a frontline manager over at McDonald's, they were not able to grasp these things. They were instead, their dissection of any bit of conversation was, what can I do? What can't I do? What am I gaining? What am I losing? You get what I'm saying? Like that was the filter that anything that was being stated was going through. So when that was brought up, Weiss then redirects and says that if the people vote, it'll be a felon. He still went back to that. In other words, not grasping what the governor had said, right? And he said, and alongside us, like, we vote, I think it was Princess spoke up, and she says, but we vote in the sheriff, we vote in the chief, and that hasn't happened. Like, where's the evidence? I think I said it too. I'm like, there's no evidence of this.
Yeah.
And his response was, you see, they got to vote it in. That makes my point. They get to have their sheriff. They get to have their chief. Why can't we pick the director?
What the fuck?
Yes, exactly. Like, are you a child? Like, this guy's literally a child. These are the arguments. And the other justices stood there, like, cool with it. Like, this guy's like, why do I get it? They get it and we don't get it. And the governor, rightfully so, goes, they're democratically elected. Their appointment is through a democratic process. You are not. And they're like, you could tell that he didn't understand that concept. It then went on to say there's no conflict with the marshals being under the DOJ. See, it's working. This impeachment is an example. And Barrett goes, I've been scared to death I'm going to get fired over this. And we know that to be true because he's been lamenting about this for 6 weeks to us.
It's the first thing he said when I showed up, right? He said, good to see you, Michael. I don't think I'm going to be a marshal next week.
And we know they have this track record. They literally bullied Grayson the moment he made a decision that did not align with Arcadia and their BFF fucking Faulkner. It's why Jaina is literally like just done. She didn't get any assistance, any training. Like, imagine a world where the judiciary outside of the justices are coming to the cabinet run by Nino Chavez and asking for help. Like, imagine, right? It's insane. So, what else? Then came the question about the penal code. So I finally got a chance to talk. I don't have the document up right now, but I went through half of the pain points. The first was the shadow edits that gave the DOJ the control of the state account. And I'm like, account money has been moved from there. And that's a black account. And Faulkner goes, that's just not true. I just looked at it this morning. There was a $10 million transfer last week and 3 weeks ago alone. $10 million. So how is it not true? Do you not know this? Does he not know? Hello? Why is the $10 million coming to state account 1? How is it not true that Angel literally put it in herself as a shadow edit? Like, hello? And Weiss had the audacity to say, we don't have the money like the 400 million that's in the Los Santos account. And I'm like, I'm just thinking, are you fucking brain damaged? How much money is in the account is entirely irrelevant unless you can make a argument that our financial expenditure out of that is grossly exceeding. Why is it 400 million? Because we're not sending it to everybody. Like, I actually genuinely believe that this guy he does not have a semblance of intelligence that allows him to critically think and make logical fucking statements. It's as if $400 million is a gotcha that is supposed to mean something. Yes, we succeeded in budgeting. Yes, we succeeded in not grossly overspending. Like, hello?
And when we have subsidy projects, we legislate it.
Yeah.
Yes, legislate it, track it, have a record of it. Everything down to our vote. These are children we are dealing with. Children. That's it. There is no explanation. Next, he started advocating. So the election legislation was discussed. We needed to talk to you about it. The governor says, why? And he's like, well, we think that this is in our, this dumb fuck, mind you, said that they're not a political party.
Oh my God.
Yet they're literally politicking in front of the governor. Like, I don't think he knows what any of these words mean.
Yeah.
I think he's genuinely failed social studies in middle school. Like, it's the only explanation.
Can I do the election one? I really want to.
Yes, go ahead.
So the election legislation gets brought up, Jason, where we're trying to revert it back to separate ballots, right? And Weiss brings up that it's our understanding that this was the will of the state that it be made the way that we know it is now. And the governor
AKA
goes,
Angel told him.
Right. The governor goes, I've never heard anything about this before.
Yep. Yep. And I, mind you, asterisk,
that's great.
the amount of times that Angel spoke on behalf of the state, and it would not be the first time when that wasn't ever true, is I couldn't even go through the number of times. So keep that in mind. Like, this would not be the first.
But I think what happened next was the interesting part, was the governor tried to sit there and come up with meaningful solutions to how we could make it make sense. But I don't think a decision was reached on that. You know, I don't know if it was ever discussed whether or not they were going to push through our legislation or what.
No, he did. He
did? Okay.
So I'll give you some examples of what was stated. Is that, for example, out of the blue, Weiss starts advocating for a one-state solution. Okay, well, actually, let me not use that phraseology. Started advocating for a one county, and he's like, 2 counties are not working, and and fucking and I'm sitting here like, how do you know this? It's not working.
Oh
You're
my
not
God.
here. Like, are we insane? Like, what do you got? Like, fucking, are you like, I don't, like, brother, I don't even know how I'm supposed to, what I'm supposed to say or do about that statement. You get what I'm saying? Like,
He sure knows a lot for 11 hours.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, where? I don't know. Like, man, those fucking DOJ parties must go real fucking hot if, like, you genuinely know this shit. Or alternatively, like, or you're that much in the fucking, like, how in 11 hours, like, how did you manage to do all these things?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, who are you speaking on behalf of? Like, what mystery person is providing all this? Like, it's just is so, like, you're not around. We speak to people 12 hours a day. Where are you coming up with this disposition? It's like, it genuinely, I hate drawing, I hate bringing it. It feels like this is the current American, like, fucking cabinet, where it's just like, because he said things, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I don't know how I'm supposed to make sense of this verbally in San Andreas, because it doesn't make any fucking sense. That you're so sure of yourself over not being around and stating things like the county system doesn't work, yet you haven't even spoken to the mayor about this matter, right? Who are you listening to? Who are telling you these things? How are you coming to these conclusions? How are you so shameless to make them these statements and not be embarrassed at what you were doing? Like, shameless comes to mind, right? Like, and I don't mean like the TV show or, you know, how loosely the word shameless is, but I'm talking about like when grandma might say that you have no shame, like that type, you know, where genuinely at a moral character level that you do not actually feel any negative emotional feeling about doing something so and saying something so dirty. So anyways, to pull back on my little rant right there, that opened up this discussion around the election, right? And I brought up, it's gerrymandering. People are going to vote anyways. That way, it creates a system where, and Princess of all people was on board with it, right? She understood it. She signed it. But Weiss kept once again taking over the conversation as like an expert somehow, right? And you know. The governor said if the mayor wanted, they could secede their power to the mayor of Los Santos. And they couldn't understand that concept. They're like, it's against the Constitution. And it's like, no, it's not, you dumb fuck. Like, because if one mayor is like, the other mayor is going to make the decision, you are saying so under, like, does he understand? Like, I don't understand. Like, my brain hurts. Like, trying to figure out how they think. Because I don't think they understand the concept that you could secede your power to the other but it wouldn't be, it wouldn't require any type of, it would mean that when the next mayor, you could still get impeached for making that decision. The next mayor could reverse it. Right? Like, all these things are still possible, but they couldn't understand. It was calculus to people that barely knew how to add numbers, right? What else happened with the election thing? They said that it was impossible to, I don't know. Let's move on from the election. TLDR, the governor said yes, they're allowed to do what they're saying. And they couldn't comprehend it. Me and Princess both bumped the forum post. What else was brought up? I brought up the penal code discussion. You know all the charges they changed? The governor said everything needs legislation to back it. You can't just change it.
What about when you asked for documentation, Nino? When you asked for what they use to base their decisions on?
I'm going to get to that. The governor once again underlined that legislation is needed in advance of the penal code changing. And they acted like
they didn't get that either.
Well, it's worse. They acted like this is the first time they're hearing it. They're actually, these people are like absolute useless. Like, they didn't know this. This is the first time. Bitch, they were in the meetings, right? Bitch, you were there. We've been talking about this for fucking months. How do you not retain this information? It's written down. And so that's when things got really fucked, because this guy is so good at gaswising other people. Actually, he's not good at gaswising. I think he does a lot. He attempted to gaswise people. But the conversation came up, well, if something like a like the FIB document like was found and they had to make it illegal, how are they going to do it? Because, oh no, they're going to say it's illegal and all the people who are criminals are going to contest it and say no. And I was like, when has that ever happened in the last 9 months? We got taxes passed. People are not dog shit human beings like the justices. They are not dog shit human beings. The biggest gang leaders in the city literally allow these things to become illegal. They're having full-blown discussions with police over VAF. We don't live in fucking whatever fucking communist dictatorship nation these guys have spawned out of. Right? Once again, they're so disconnected. And there's no evidence of this occurring. And if it occurs, then we do it. It's all fucking hypotheticals otherwise. And then the governor going on to say that you can still find a means by which to make it illegal through judicial matters. And he couldn't understand, well, how are they going to do that if it's not illegal to begin with? It's actually insane how lost they were. Like, these people cannot be justices. There needs to be like another entity that actually shows them how to work, how to function, because they don't know how to function. It's like somebody trying to build an IKEA table without the instructions. They don't have them. So their IKEA table looks like it's got two legs facing one direction and the other legs in completely different directions. The governor went on to say that you, as a part of an arrest, it's still a judicial matter. and that something can spawn out of it regardless of if it goes to court, which makes sense because you know, and somehow Weiss took that to say that the governor is now saying that they can pass legislation like Sama, where they just write it and illegalize it and it's good. Like actual fucking idiot. And that's the scary thing. Because we've seen what these nincompoops have done. They've done shit and then said, oh, too bad, it's already in.
Oh my god.
And so these dumb fucks are probably going to start doing it and be like, and you know what substantiates that claim? Weiss tried to gas Weiss me into saying that he wanted a conversation over the penal code. We spoke for an hour. Princess couldn't take it anymore. Others couldn't take it anymore. I explained to him that these penal charges were not discussed with the people. It was behind closed doors. He goes, but we talked to everybody. I'm like, who? We don't have a record. They don't have a record of it. He would just be like, oh, the clerks handled that. The clerks is he fucking stupid? Like, they don't, and when I'm like, there's problems with these things, they need to be reviewed. He's like, okay, point at which one's an issue and we'll go over them one at a time. I'm like, hello? The issue is that they're all there to begin with.
Yeah.
The issue is that there was no discussion. Me and Princess represent the people. He goes, well, technically Princess wasn't the mayor. Are you fucking dumb? She needs to speak on behalf of this stuff still. There's no documentation. We don't even know what to look at. We don't even believe what you're saying. Fucking dumb fuck.
He said she doesn't represent the people?
She said she wasn't the mayor at the time, so it doesn't, as if it doesn't matter. Like that she's the mayor now.
This fucking guy can suck my penal code.
Yo, yeah, it was literally cooked. Like I said, I wouldn't trust him as the first line fucking manager at McDonald's. Yeah. Like he'd be like this guy. Like this is the kind of guy you ever I don't know, decides to change the recipe at McDonald's is having a full blown fucking, and then you're trying to tell him you can't do that. It's a fucking corporate recipe, and just like, what do you mean? Like I changed it already. What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
So that discussion, unfortunately, it all came down to they're not going to, he was not entertaining any form of methodology or solution to review the changes. He only would accept we're going to talk about the charges one at a time, despite not being able to speak to any of those things. I pulled a random one up and he literally pulled shit out of his ass. I don't know who he surrounds himself by on a day-to-day basis, but they must be really foolish individuals, because somehow he thinks he's convincing anybody of the bullshit that he pulls out of his ass ad hoc. At one point he said, if you don't understand it, why aren't you going to the chief of police to ask? Like that is the, I wanted to kill him. I wanted to strap a bomb on his ass. I didn't want to strangle him. I wanted to grab him by the fucking collar. No, by the ear. And drag him outside into the middle of Legion Square. And let the public show him how much they trust him. Because I don't think I could do even an ounce of what the public wants to do. It's insane. At the end of it, what I said is we're going to come back with a list of the penal charges that are an issue. This dog shit of a fucking person, so out of touch, with heart, in front of Quentin. They're that out of touch. They said in front of Quentin They're not doing any of it. That everything they said, malicious. They said it in front of Quentin.
Yeah.
Imagine not knowing Quentin works for us.
Yeah.
How do you not know that Quentin's been working for administration for 9 months? And in front of him, you expose you're not doing any of it.
Yeah.
Quentin came to me and told me all this. He knows he was sitting there because he was in there for the mock interview.
They've never been to the court center, I'm guessing.
I've never been to the court center, never know how do you not know Quentin works?
That fucking head of mall security. My
Brother,
God.
what the fuck? Any questions so far, Jason?
I'm baffled. I don't even think I could have questions because it's just so confusing how dumb they are.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have a question.
Give me just 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. There's currently 4 justices, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
How many brain cells do they share?
I think it's just one.
Just one. That's what I was
Yeah.
afraid of. Okay. Okay.
oh, yeah. Yeah, it was rather clear that it was pre-canned responses and just making up shit. And we know it's made up because we can fact check half the lies. We have documentation behind it. Once again, Weiss is the one that argued for a unanimous vote for the director, and now he's here claiming that he had nothing to do with it. Or the timeline. I don't think does he know Google Docs doesn't erase comments? That there's timestamps on it?
Revision history.
That it's admissible in court? We know because of what happened to Moss.
Yeah.
She had to go and pull all the revision history for the document. Because the justices allowed that. They standardized Google Doc edit history being a part of court cases. So, I think. Go ahead.
But until Arcadia stepped down, there was 5 justices. I am guessing there is an odd number, so there is always a majority vote. But there's also that many justices, or even that many people on any cabinet or council or anything, because not everybody is going to agree, and that is the checks and balances of that said entity. So
Yes.
I don't know what part of that is so difficult to understand and why they would want a unanimous vote except to make it take longer
There you go.
and never actually get a unanimous vote. That's very rarely going to happen on any big subject.
I think it's indicative of their opinions of their hiring process, where they only appoint justices that are like-minded individuals.
Yep. And then bully everyone else out.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Look at Jaina. Makes one mistake, impeachment.
Yep. Or Grayson.
Yeah.
The guy disagreed with a hot gun charge once, and they fucking full blown like talk so much shit over that. Yet they have no shame over calling every fucking person in the city just a felon. That's all they see him as. It's second-class citizens. That's what they see it as. They believe they live in the ivory tower.
Yeah.
Because it was given to them by a demon. They're just our spawns. That's how I see it. Oh, Hollow? Look at what happened to Justice Hollow.
Yeah.
One
he literally
disagreement.
got dragged up by his ear. Remember?
He did. Yeah. In front of the governor.
Yeah.
And then, and what did he do wrong? He had a conversation. He actually listened. They're not functioning adults. That's the problem. Oh, tell Jason what happened to Hollow.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but Hallow made to give Pred's keys back. The governor came down, and basically through dialogue, Hallow came to the realization that he was wrong in his determination that Pred should have his keys taken away. And on the spot, he decided that I'm reversing my decision. I'm giving Pred his keys back. Hart basically cuts the conversation short, asks Hallow to step outside, where they talk for 15 minutes. And I'm not exaggerating. It was about 15 minutes. He came back in like a sad fucking puppy with his head hung down and said that he's changed his mind again. And he thinks that Pred should not have his keys anymore still. He was literally dragged out by his ear, beaten to submission to toe the DOJ party line. It was fucking embarrassing. And
then he didn't speak the rest of the meeting. For context, Hollow was the only one actively coming into the city and working with us, right? He understood that we have an opinion that is strong. Why? Because we're not representing ourselves. We do not benefit that the people are demanding these things. I don't think that they recognize. I think in their mind, they think we just sit in a boat or whatever and come up with this shit. That it's not a culmination of hours of dialogue with people, phone calls, etc. That we are coming with a aggregation of opinion and solution. But rather, they think, because that's how they function, that it's my opinion versus theirs. That when Hollow was present, we would literally have a back and forth. He'd start with a position, I'd start with a position, and we'd find a way to make a middle ground, or I would concede something, or he would concede something. That happened for 2 weeks. That was probably the most successful 2 weeks there was.
That sounds like you were actual adults, though.
Yes, absolutely.
You can't have that in the city. What are you talking about? You're crazy.
After that day, that key incident, throughout that meeting, quiet. After that, he just stopped. And then you know what happened afterwards? Grayson, the one with an A, started shit talking the guy for the next week or 2 weeks. He's not around. He's not doing this. All these things that what about Weiss? What about Hot? What about, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like, all of a sudden, this guy was evil, right? To everyone that could listen, even to the extent that he was saying to us. And then she had the fucking audacity to say, he's not working anymore. We told him that if he doesn't step down, we're going to impeach him. I don't think she recognizes how bad that is. Right? But the question became, in other words, he became a black sheep. That's what happens when you go against him. So, it's crazy. It really is. I don't know what exactly these guys are coveting so much that they're willing to say fuck you to everybody else. I do not get that.
It's the brand. They've turned the Department of Justice into a fucking brand, man. A fucking country club. It's like a cartel of absent rulers.
Yeah, but what is the benefit? I don't get it.
I don't know. Clout in a fucking email chain.
I don't know.
I mean, they're never around. Why do they even care? Like, step down and live your life.
I don't know.
But that's the crazy thing. We don't even want them to step down. We are just asking them to not ignore everybody and treat them like shit. And spend every single conversation with them is about power grabbing and retaining. That's all they care about. You notice that, Michael? Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. It's literally every time a conversation like last night's happened. It was the same in December, right? There was never an admission of being wrong except the one time Hallow did it, and we know what happened to him. I didn't hear anything that came out of any of the justices' mouths last night that sounded like, oh, you're right. We did do that wrong. Even when we brought up, what was it, the bank account shit, the procedural violations with the legislative process, none of that. There was no admission of wrongdoing at all. It was excuse after excuse after excuse. Fucking dumb fucks. It's very tiring. Not to disparage you, Nino, but after you, I don't think a goddamn person in this city has worked as hard as me to bring some level of legitimacy to the government of San Andreas. And what the fuck do I get in return? You got 4 justices that I don't know what they did. They must have flown in, right? Cracked open a bag of cocaine and ripped dick dingers off a fucking horse's cock, and then came down to City Hall and spewed their bullshit for an hour and a half last night. I would put my body of work against all of them cumulatively, and I would fucking strut my ass to the bank. Don't fucking get it.
yeah. Yeah.
It's ego, right? It's what it is.
Yeah.
Ego.
I think that's selling it short, Michael, because like, how do I put this? They're it's underselling it because when do you like, I don't know. What is the investment? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
It's
it
like
makes
someone
no sense.
else from a different neighborhood, right? From a different state coming and having a very passionate idea of how your garden should look.
Yeah.
And you're just like, why does it matter to you?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Right? And I'm not saying opinion. It's the passion behind it.
Yeah.
The demand of it. The so assuredness without any backing. It's very tough.
I think it's all for show, right? I think it's manufactured passion in the face of the governor to make it look like they actually give a shit, when in actuality they don't give a shit.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah, it was an entire saving face.
3 fucking disconnected judges or justices and a pair of fucking reindeer antlers.
Oh my God. Oh, Jason, they had their Christmas attire on.
Oh, that's
I'm not even kidding. I wish I was kidding.
That's terrible. They
Like,
couldn't even stop and change before showing up.
yeah.
It's painful. I think you said it right. They're in their little ivory tower, right? And they're too fucking blind to realize the city is crumbling, and the only people trying to keep it together have been us for the last 9 months on behalf of the people. And they show up and what? I don't know. I think they think they're fucking main tanking, but if they turned around and looked, they'd realize they're defending no one because everyone else is on the other side of the fucking battlefield. spend 9 months trying to build up a system to protect and empower the fucking people, not to protect their titles.
Yeah. It's gross. It really is. I just, every time everything was like, but the criminals are going to stop it. Like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
When has that happened?
I think that's part of their problem is they only get the opinion from the police.
That is
Whereas we'll talk to the police, we'll talk to civilians, we'll talk to the criminals, and then we'll make a cohesive decision from there after talking to everybody.
That respects everyone's reality, right? That's, listen,
Yes.
I can vent all I want, right? And does it make me feel better? Sure. But I can tell you, right? I'm going to have to go back and follow up like the Andres of the world who pled with me for 2 fucking hours, right? That, you know, here's how it went down, right? They didn't give a shit. They don't care about you, right? They don't care about the struggles their decisions are putting on you. I got to be the one to do that. It's not them, right? It's not them wearing the blame for their bullshit. It's us. And it always has been. That's the worst part of this job.
You're not wrong. That's the thing that haunts me every night.
Mm-hmm. I think what's funny is, you know, if I said that out loud and the justices were around, they'd label me a criminal sympathizer. But at the end of the day, I'm just a realist. I'm fucking here. Nino, you wanted to talk next steps, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you saw the document I put up.
I did.
I also really like Princess's twat about outlawing pants. I'm all for that one.
That was when Weiss said that they made the change to the penal code and made jump boots illegal because the justices were told by the PD that jump boots only come from the cargo ship. And
Oh my God.
I said to Princess, I have it on pretty good authority that most crimes are committed by people wearing pants, and that's when she twatted that out.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But that's the mindset, right? Like, God forbid there's not some local manufacturer or international supplier that is exporting those to the city. Of course they come from the cargo ship and nowhere else.
It's actually, and I had to say, like, that's a fucking, I told them, I'm like, they're like, well, it's on good authority. You know, brother, when they brought up, this is why it's so, they're actually retarded. I just didn't say it flat out. When I brought up, they brought that up, right? They, in that same dialogue, when we were talking about like robbery of a financial institute, like how do they come up with it?
God.
They go, well, you know, we had to have some like unclandestine conversations. Some unclandestine individuals, you know, gave us a phone call. You know, so like this entire time they're ranting and raving. You can't trust me, fellas. We had some, you know, some good authority. You know what I'm talking about? You know, they might be, I don't know, they might rob some banks or something, but I didn't tell you this. That didn't come from me. And
well, did you know that people were being charged for scuba tanks just because the police didn't know where to buy them?
That's exactly it. Like, who the fuck? Like, what is wrong with these people? And
Maze Bank one was wild.
So they got it from good authority because they got these mysterious phone calls, you know, from saying that the Maze Bank has $500,000 in it. And immediately I'm like, you are so dumb. Like, like you're so dumb. Like, so you don't trust any of these people, but they're like, oh yeah, by the way, there's $500,000 in the back of May's bank. You know what the thing is? I know that that's not the number. Number two, that it depends like how, like, you know, how far in they're actually breaking into. And among a slew of other things. And I said, that's like, why don't you just FOIA or ask the banks?
Yeah.
If that's how you're doing your math. Because what they're doing is these fucking bozos tried to, for lack of a better word, figure out how much was being made in the bank to figure out how to charge people. But apparently in these like incandescent phone calls from these incandescent people, didn't tell them that the Maze Bank isn't just you get this or you get that, right? And so when I said, why don't you just FOIA Maze Bank or like ask them, they're like, Hart goes, well, I don't know what to tell you, but that's a little weird. And I'm like, how is that weird?
Yeah.
You're asking the financial institute. Like, I don't understand when you're literally sitting here arguing that jump boots only come from the cargo ship because they don't know of any other way, that your idea is it's illegal. Like, but apparently asking the bank how much gets stolen out of there is like weird. Like, what in the actual fucking, like, what in the fucking world? It's, how do you have a conversation with someone with that low of an IQ level? Genuinely. Like, these topics are just impossible, right? We're living in different, like, we're from different, this is like, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to, I want to use like a real world example, but I'm going to not. We're talking to somebody that's from a non-democratic society run by a dictatorship of individuals that were put into place, like fucking like North Korea type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even they managed to, like, you know, hack into banks and build nuclear bombs and shit. I don't think these guys can even wipe their own ass. Like, what do you do with that?
Well, I mean, that's all just indicative of that approach that they took, right? Where they can't be wrong. And I think they really did try and gaslight you and the governor. I don't use that term very often, but they were trying to convince you that you were wrong, right? They were making you question your own reasoning when in reality they didn't have a position to stand on at all.
It was just, we're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Imagine when, you know, when I actually broke Weiss, and this is when I realized that this guy's a fucking degenerate, is I go with the penal code, I'm like, this whole thing needs to be reviewed. And he goes, is demanding that it's one at a time. And I kept providing like ways to do it. I'm like, it could be reverted. It could be, we go through each one and we modify, like, you know, we give you a document and you see, we see where you disagree. And those are the things that we will tackle. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's been in a meeting room, like, ever.
Yeah.
Like, to understand, like, any, like, not even a school project. Like, I don't understand how that doesn't make any sense. It's like the simplest form of, like, you're not available. Maybe we're not available. Maybe we'll give you a document. Here's what we're proposing. We will only need to discuss on the ones that you disagree with. Like, how is that tough?
Yeah.
And he goes, no, we're going to do it one at a time. And we're like, why are you putting the burden on the people? And he didn't understand what that meant.
Yeah.
He genuinely could not process that the financial implications that are currently been imposed are a burden. He didn't understand that creating a system where he destroyed everything and said, please spend 100 man hours to fix this, is not a burden on the people. Like, it's genuine. I don't know. I don't know.
So this is the point in the conversation where I got up and walked away, because the excuse he used, right, was the clerks spent weeks on this and we're not going to undo all their effort. But time is not an indicator of the quality of the output, right?
Or the validity or the legality.
Exactly. And if you want to put their weeks up against my 9 months and your 9 months, they can fuck right off.
Agreed. Yeah, that's it right there. And that's where I question the legitimacy of any of this. Was he in those rooms? Why did they not know who was present and who wasn't? Why did they not have any documentation as to what their methodology was? Like, can you imagine a reality where we would ever do something so drastic and there's no documentation? And that the clerks did it? Hello?
Nothing against the clerk, because I probably don't know most of them. But when you're doing something like this, you need to have a strong background in legislation and
the city,
the legality of what you're doing. And I don't know that all of them have that. I don't know that I would trust Quantum as a clerk to do all of that.
Or
It's
junior,
more than that.
or
It's more than
Right.
that.
it's beyond
It's-
their scope.
It's
Exact.
a strong legislative understanding gets you so far. And I think I'm probably the best example of that. If you look back at my work from 9 months ago, I had to when I restructured the entire MDT, and I laughed at my work from back then. You need the context of the city to be able to make a change, like broad sweeping changes to the penal code. If you
Yeah.
lack that context, you're fucked. I mean, case in point, look at our penal code now. Look at the pain that it's causing, and that's why.
I think next steps are send the impeachments. I think we give ourselves 24 hours to ensure, let's not overcook, right? To the point we don't need to make it deep, and we send it.
Can I request that we go further
Okay.
in the form of that document that I sent over?
Okay.
The impeachments were Tony's thing, and I assume that by now he has that in a place that we can put it up.
No,
Last
he
night-
gave it to Barrett,
Yeah, well, perfect.
which I don't know if he's gonna manifest anything out of it.
Either way.
He might. We could engage it with him on it.
Well, even then, I was thinking about this morning, you know. There are indications of a crime occurring. Why is Barrett not looking at it from a criminal standpoint?
Ooh, wait, what do you mean?
Okay, well, I mean, in terms of financial corruption, right? Why would that be heard in an impeachment hearing and not in a judicial hearing? But I don't want to sidetrack myself. Last night and this morning, I wrote up legislative audits for judicial positions, powers, and the election process legislation. The legislative proposal and approval process, the statute of limitations for the Ninja edit, the legislative authority bank accounts for the Ninja edit, a contest of the penal code changes, and a contest of the San Andreas State
Can
Marshals
you
and Corrections
text me and Jason a copy?